Today, I'm gonna go over all the gear that we carry in the truck. Hey guys, how do we keep it dirty? I get a lot of crap for carrying a lot of gear on my truck because it weighs down the hell out of the truck. But at the same token, I also get a lot of questions about the gear I carry. So today, we're gonna go over what kind of gear we have in the truck and why. We're first gonna start off what's in the cab, what's the stuff that we wanna be able to get a hold of right away and have at a hand's reach. We don't have to open anything up, so follow me. So first, let's go over what's on my door. So I have a couple things on the door: gloves, towels, flashlight, a nice little Harbor Freight light. This one's really useful. It's got a magnetic end, so it's very useful for us. A knife. You never know when you're gonna need a knife. Quick tools. Yeah, we have a Gerber and just some basic tools. And then a pair of binoculars. You gotta have some binoculars. It's always such cool spots to check out while we're out there. So let's go inside the cab now. Inside the cab, we have a couple other things. Gotta have your radio. Very important, hardwired radio. Extremely important for off-roading. I have a way to hold my cell phone, right? We use the Mob Armor magnetic mounts. We have a way for my son to put his cell phone on there too because he is my navigator. Top of that, we have another flashlight. Now this one is unique because it has a lighter. This one's also, it's very efficient. This thing lasts for months without use. Also in here is my iPad mount. We use that regularly as our backup mounts for the trails. And then one of the most important pieces of kit, which is our first aid gear. You don't want to get just any first aid kit. We got a standard first aid kit here, and we've added to it. The basic things that you want to make sure your first aid kit has is a good pair of scissors, not crap scissors, a nice set of scissors. You want to have some tweezers, a blanket, and then plenty of gauze. So we've added extra gauze on here. Most of the gauze that are on here weren't included with it, so we've added extra gauze and stuff like that for different kind of wounds. And then we also added Neosporin. You don't need to get some massive first aid kit. Honestly, you can get away with something small like this. We're usually out in remote areas where there is no quick way to get anybody out there to help you out. Sometimes there's not even cell reception, so you're on your own. So I have a suture kit as well. You can find these online. We have this on our Amazon's page as well if you guys want to get one. But it's your standard suture kit that includes much better knives and scissors and stuff like that. And we have a couple sutures in here too as well. So that if we get into one of those situations where somebody's hurt pretty bad, we don't have access to quick help, we can send somebody to help and then we can address the wounds while we're waiting for help to show up. This is not a kit for everybody, but it's something that we carry because, you know, we want to be prepared for the worst case scenario. All right, let's go ahead and go to the back seat. Show you guys what we have back there. Okay, in the back of the truck, we have a couple of things. We always carry our straps, and then we also carry plenty of bags. Trash bags, it's usually extra bags that we get along the way, and a way to protect the eyes. Sometimes we got a spot for people and the dust gets really bad, so we get some UTV goggles. They're really good for that kind of stuff. We also carry the stuff we use the most. In these bags is our ARB air gauge. We keep it here so that it's easy to access for us to air down. And then we keep our hose and our repair kit here because those are the most common things we're going to need to get access to while we're on the trails. I highly recommend this gauge. ARB digital gauge. We've had this thing for almost 2 years now and never had to worry about calibrating it. If you have an analog gauge, almost every system out there, whether it's the power tank or the Viair compressors, they all have analog gauges. Those analog gauges, after 2-3 runs of off-road, always go out and don't read perfectly anymore. Digital gauges keep their calibration much longer. We've had this thing for 2 years, haven't had to recalibrate it. Highly recommend it. And it comes with an extra long hose, so you don't have to be on your knees airing down or airing back up. You can hook it up and be standing. Okay, now let's go over this bag that we have here. So obviously it has our lime green hose for filling up. This is a whole lot easier to use than that yellow one. Tire repair kit. And you want to make sure you get a decent kit that has this little type of tool. You don't want to get the cheap ones that don't have this heavy duty handle with this plunger to help you push in any patches. This is a very important piece of kit. We have one type linked on our Amazon's page. Highly recommend it. Also in this bag here, we have some extra parts. We have like our speed sensor. We also have a check valve in here as well for the IWE system. We have miscellaneous connectors. We've ran into situations where we needed something like this to repair a connection that we damaged, like the speed sensor. So we carry them on our truck now. Again, more rope. And then things that normally everybody forgets: bug repellent and sunscreen. We're always getting burned out there, so we don't want to get bit by the bugs, and we also don't want to get burned. So we carry both of them in there, easy to access in the truck. Let's go out back. Now, out back, we have a lot of tools, and I mean a lot. So much so that we had to get extra heavy-duty dealers. So let me show you what we got. So let me go over all the stuff we carry back here, and then we're going to show you the new stuff. We got some new Pelican cases to carry all our gear, so I'm gonna show you that. First, we have our dual spares. You gotta have 2 spares when you're going out on the trails. There's been situations where we had to use both. We have our CO2 power tank to air up quickly, 10-pound power tank. We have our 5-pound fire extinguisher. That's an ABC fire extinguisher. You guys don't have to carry something so big. Something small from like the ones they sell at Harbor Freight are good enough, but that's a really good one. We have our Pro Eagle jack. We've had that thing for 3 years. Super solid, never had a problem, always very reliable, highly recommend it. And then we have our 2 jugs. One jug is 5 gallons of fuel. The second jug is 5 gallons of water. Water is to help us get cleaned up if we need to, or if we run out of coolant, that's a way to top it off. I know it's not the best, but it's better than nothing. And then gas, because we go to some remote places, you gotta have some extra gas. Over here on the right, we have our recovery boards. We're using the RPG bar that we helped design with them, so that's what's gonna be carrying our recovery boards. I know we only have 3 because our bed rack gets in the way, but again, highly recommend having some recovery boards with you. And then finally, we're going to go over the big toolbox. Now this is brand new. We just got it. It's a Pelican 1660 case. And we got it because our toolbox wasn't faring too well. We were actually having a lot of problems with the toolbox just falling apart. It just couldn't deal with all the stress of going to Baja. And if anything got loose, it just tore up the toolbox. And it was on its last legs. It couldn't close and all that stuff. So we ended up getting a Pelican case. Very happy with this purchase, and we're going to show you what we have in it. We make sure we lock everything on our truck, so this thing has a lock. We also have a rope lock on it as well. Depending on where you live, people are assholes. How's the view? Full moon. Oh. Now we're using a piece of foam up at the top to kind of keep everything still. Eventually we're going to replace this probably with some of our camping gear, like some of the sleeping bags or something, but it's important to secure everything in there. You do not want any dead space because that's what killed our last toolbox. So conceited, Ethan. First right here is probably one of the best purchases we've done. This is our wrench tool pouch. Now you want to be carrying a common list of wrenches that you would normally use on the truck. Because this is a Ford tends to favor metric, so we have a lot of metric wrenches in here, but we also have a nice mix of standard wrenches as well, because some of the stuff we use is going to need a standard wrench. I also recommend investing in ratchet wrenches. This will save you a lot of time, especially in those tight situations when you're on the trails. It's a whole lot easier to use this than it is to use a standard wrench. And then you also want to carry any specialty stuff. For example, this is an 18mm with a pivot ratchet. This one is for the top shock bolts. We can't do any work up there without these. So if for whatever reason we get into a situation where we got to play with it up there, we got to have that special tool for that. Now, you guys will recognize a lot of these tools because everything that's in this trunk, we use to work on the truck. On every single video you guys have seen us do it, 99% of the tools we use are in this trunk. Carry the tools that you're going to need in order to work on your vehicle. Now, on top of this, we also carry crescent wrenches, and I carry 2 of them to deal with any sizes that we don't have. And then I also have some backup closed end wrenches like these with common sizes. Again, these are standard to help us out. And we use these a lot. We actually use these to lower the pivot on the lights. Okay, next we're going to go over our tool rolls. Our tool rolls have taken a beating, and that's because our last toolbox allowed everything to move. This one's got holes in it already. That's from stuff moving around in the toolbox because everything always came loose in the toolbox. It's important to keep everything tight. So let me show you what we have in our tool rolls. So this right here is our socket roll. And here we carry all of our common short sockets that we would use, both metric and standard, as well as our impact. And make sure you guys carry Torx bits. There's several things on this truck that are Torx bits, so make sure you carry Torx bits on there. We have all different sizes, including some larger sizes for some of those suspension components, right? Like the shocks, the leaf springs, and all that stuff. Again, all the tools we use while we were building this truck get put in here, and we use them on a regular basis. Anything you guys see us use here, from that, our wrench tool pouch, to these, we have it linked on our Amazon page. So if you guys want to get any of this stuff, just go check out my Amazon page, go through all the different tabs. You'll find almost everything we use on there. If it's on Amazon, we link it up there. Makes it easy to show everybody where it's at rather than saving all the links. Now these are our most commonly used tools. At the bottom pouch we have our Phillips head, flatheads, and all that stuff, which I'm a little light here, Ethan. Where's all my tools? We also use some of the bits, right? This also includes some of the smaller torque bits. Again, you got to make sure you have these because these are common on the truck. Next is our Allen wrenches. We also have some tape in here too. Now this is right here is a rubber wrench. so that if I don't have a size or I need to torque on something like a shock or whatever it is, something large, this will help me get a grip on it and turn it. Next, we have our plastic pry tools as well as our trim clip pry. Next is all of our pliers. So we have a couple extra snips in here, different kinds of snips, different kind of pliers. Also our crimp tool. Highly recommend getting one of these. These things are awesome. These little crimp tools right here, they're great. They're also really good snips, really heavy duty. All right, next pouch is screwdriver set with some sockets. We've had this kit for a long time, use it often. That's why the packaging's all messed up, but this is also a good one to carry with you. And then of course, box cutter and some zip ties. And we're a little low on zip ties. We use zip ties quite a bit, whether it's on our truck or somebody else's truck, something comes loose, always got to have some zip ties. And then finally in this one, we have a clamp, you know, whether it's for brakes or stuff like that. We have waterproof tape. I don't think I've ever used this thing, but I carry it. Extra lug nuts because people are always losing lug nuts. I don't know why they're always losing lug nuts. So we carry some extra ones. And some gloves in case we got to keep our hands clean. Next, I recommend carrying a good electronic impact. It makes tire changes a whole lot easier. We got this one from Harbor Freight. Nice solid kit from Bauer, super strong. We could even work on suspension if we need to with this thing. Next is our backup compressor. This is our Vi-Air compressor. We had to put it in a separate bag because the original bag of this thing died. This thing is a freaking workhorse. We've had this thing for 3 years and never had any problem with it. It's a 450p Vi-Air compressor kit, pushing 4 years with this thing. Haven't had a single problem with it. Super strong. Normally we're filling up 3 or 4 sets of trucks with this thing. Highly, highly recommend it. It's a freaking workhorse, never overheated, never had any problems with it. It's linked on our Amazon page if you guys want to get a set. If you don't want to do a CO2 tank, this is probably the best alternative. I don't recommend the smaller versions of these, like the 400 or the smaller compressors. They're not 100% use. This thing has a 100% use cycle. That means that it can run and it will not overheat. A lot of the smaller off-road compressors that are more affordable have problems. They do overheat, and eventually, after about 2 years or so, they will die. This thing, 4 years on, and it hasn't died yet. Highly recommend it. Our most commonly used one, our socket roll. Again, this one's also on our Amazon's page. In here, what you're looking at is 1/2 inch, 3/8 inch, and 1/4 inch sockets, all deep well sockets because those are the ones we're going to end up using the most, as well as all the common extensions. The actual socket wrenches you're seeing here is a combination of a Pittsburgh tool kit with an extra kit that takes care of some of these larger sizes right here. So if you're looking for the actual tools themselves, a lot of the actual hand tools we get from Harbor Freight. This is a good tool kit. This thing's fared pretty well so far. Highly recommend it. It's just a little tight with some of the stuff we have on here, but that's it. Next, breakaway bar. We started carrying this recently because it helps save some more tools and it's really useful. Tire iron. Highly recommend this. Changing the tire is a pain in the ass with the tire iron. It simplifies it substantially. And then our 1/2 inch torque wrench. This one's obvious. Definitely should carry a torque wrench with you. Next is our straps. You want to carry 2 types of straps. This is your conventional type strap right here. Static load, does not stretch. I think this thing is rated for like 20-some thousand pounds. Rule of thumb with straps, you want to carry a strap that can handle 3 to 4 times the weight of your vehicle. Raptor weighs about 5,600 pounds. These are about 24,000 pound straps, more than enough for the Raptor. You also want to get a kinetic strap. And a kinetic strap, we use this more than anything else. It is our workhorse. Kinetic strap stretches and it allows a vehicle that's much smaller pull out a much larger vehicle out of a hazard. It basically increases the strength of the vehicle pulling. And it does it by using kinetic energy. It stores that energy in the stretch and then it gives it a nice hard yank. This is a must if you're ever going on sand, if you're ever trying to pull somebody out on mudding, you gotta have one of these. And we have this one linked on our Amazon page because it's also the most affordable. The ARB recovery one, kinetic strap, I think this one's rated for 5,200 pounds. You need to get something strong, again, because of what you're pulling. And I've pulled out RVs with this thing, yeah. RVs with my tiny little lightweight truck, which is a pretty big deal. We also carry soft shackles. Most of you guys will be familiar with the hard shackles, the little D-rings, the metal D-rings, and those are a pain in the ass to carry because they just go all over the place and they cause all kinds of damage. They're also difficult to use, especially if they get rusted. With soft shackles, you don't have to worry about that as much. These things are rated for 52,000 pounds and they're super easy to put together and tighten up. These things are awesome. We use these often. As you guys can see, ours are pretty worn out. But these things are rated for 52,000 pounds. Highly recommend them. These are also linked on our Amazon page if you want to get a set. Whole lot easier to use these than the D-rings. Is that it?
Yep.
So that's quickly all the tools that we carry. It's quite a bit, and it's also not everything, right? If we ever decide to go to Baja, we carry extra gear, we carry extra parts like over control arms and stuff like that. If we go camping, we also add all of our camping gear on top of that, but this is mainly the gear we carry on a regular basis with us. It's the gear we use to work on the truck. So when you see us working on the truck in the driveway, it's all the gear we're using. If you guys want to get any of it, we have a lot of it linked on our Amazon page below. So make sure you guys check that link out. A lot of the stuff that you saw us preview here and showcase here is in there. Also, let us know what kind of gear you carry. Maybe something that we don't have that you carry, and let us know why you carry that piece of gear. I'm always interested to see what different people carry based on the terrain they're going on. What I carry is based on going to the desert and going to the sand. I know a lot of you mud guys may carry some different gear, you know, like ways to recover yourself, right? Maybe a winch or something like that. So I'm very interested to know what you guys use on the trails as well. So make sure you guys leave that in the comments below. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Keep those trucks nice and dirty, and we'll see you guys on the next one.